Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. My name is Lindsey Funtik, and I'm the coordinator of volunteer ministries at Ashland First United Methodist Church. And every Thursday, I hop on here to share a little bit about what the Lord is teaching me and some of my devotional thoughts for this week. So, welcome to everyone who is just tuning in. I hope you're all having a really good week so far, and I heard that the high today might be 50 something, so I think I might have to take a lunch break walk later today. So, this week I have been thinking a lot about the idea of calling. Last weekend, I had the opportunity to participate in a conference on the topic of calling, and just a good time to process where I feel like the Lord might be leading me to talk to others who are discerning some of the same questions. And it was a really, really sweet time to be together. And I find that the more that I have thought about calling throughout my life, I remember having similar conversations with one of my best friends in college, that I think that sometimes we as Christians have an unhelpful view of calling, in that on one hand, the Lord does call us to specific things, to specific purposes. He has a plan for our lives. But I think that sometimes we expect this to come in a certain way, and that it's got to be, the skies opened up and I was told that I am supposed to do this one thing for the rest of my life. And sometimes that might be the case. But I think that sometimes we exclude ourselves from hearing from the Lord when we wait for that. So I kind of went into this weekend thinking about that type of, those musings that I have, and we were asked to read some passages of scripture before going in, and one of them was 1 Samuel 3. So I must confess my hubris. I am a broken human, and I have read 1 Samuel 3 a lot in my life. I love the book of 1 Samuel, and this is a very good story. This is a very comforting story for those who are discerning, because sort of the Cliff Notes version is there's this young boy, Samuel, who has been given to the temple to serve the priest Eli. And so he's basically being raised by Eli. And he's in bed one night, and he had not yet heard the voice of the Lord. So he heard this voice calling him, Samuel, Samuel. And he didn't know who it was, so he thought it was Eli calling him from the other room. So I think 2 or 3 times, I love it because it's kind of like an Abbott and Costello skit. 2 or 3 times, Samuel hops up and says, Eli, you called me. What do you want? And Eli's like, I didn't call you. Go back to bed. So this happens a few times before Eli kind of realizes what's going on, and tells Samuel, okay, it's not me calling you. It's the Lord. Go, and when you hear it again, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So he does. Samuel says, speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And he ultimately is asked, he is called upon to give Eli some pretty difficult news. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version. But today I've been really pondering 2 things that I did not know that I would have fresh thoughts on this passage, but I did. Like I said, hubris is real. Scripture always has something new to teach us, even the most familiar stories. So today I want to read to you verses 4 through 10, and I'm reading from the NIV. So this is kind of the recap that I just gave. So then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, here I am. And he ran to Eli and said, here I am, you called me. But Eli said, I did not call. Go back and lie down. So he went and lay down. Again, the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, here I am, you called me. My son, Eli said, I did not call. Go back and lie down. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. A 3rd time the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, here I am, you called me. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other time, Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel said, speak, for your servant is listening. So a much more eloquent storytelling than what I just gave. But there are 2 things that sort of stood out to me afresh this time around as I was pondering the idea of calling and how it pertains to this passage. So the first thing is that calling does not always come to us in the way that we expect. As I said earlier, sometimes I think that as we are waiting for the sky to split open and for the Lord to say, go this place, this is where what I need you to do. I think that sometimes we really do miss the small voices, the ways in which the Lord does choose to speak to us. So we see this with Samuel that I imagine, this is speculation, but I imagine that as he was serving Eli in the temple, he might have daydreamed about, what if the Lord speaks to me? Will the room fill with his glory? Will the sky split open? But what ended up happening was an indiscernible voice speaking to him in the wee hours. And so I think that often, like I said, while we're waiting for the big moments, we miss the small ones. So the first thing about calling is that the Lord can speak to you in unexpected ways. He can call you in unexpected ways. While you might be expecting it to have to be, I'm laying prostrate, fasting and wailing, or the Lord can speak to you and call you while you're eating ice cream or listening to elevator music in the grocery store. We might not always recognize the Lord's voice like Samuel, but the Lord is speaking, and the Lord is calling each of us to something. Even if we have sort of the baseline callings as Christians to love God and love neighbor, to seek justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. So if nothing else, we have those callings. So the first thing that we see from Samuel in our own lives and experiences is that we will not always understand or hear or maybe even comprehend that the Lord is calling us. So my first encouragement today is to look in the unexpected places, to open your ears to unexpected things. Is there something that has shown up repetitively in your life that has kind of caught your attention but seems kind of random? That might be the Lord calling you. Look in the moments that you might not otherwise pay attention. When you are lying in bed thinking that you hear your boss's voice echoing through your dreams, it might just be the Lord calling you to something great, like Samuel. So the second thing is that Samuel needed Eli to help him understand. So it's no surprise that this conference that I did this last weekend had 30 plus people on a Zoom call, because we are not meant to discern things alone. We are not meant to walk the walk of discipleship alone. So sometimes you think you might be hearing the Lord's voice, and sometimes you need someone to help you interpret that or to help point out that this is true. I cannot tell you how many times I have either been going down a path that a trusted friend and or mentor was able to say, let's maybe think about this. Or conversely, when I might not be paying attention or I might not recognize it, someone wiser than me has been able to say, hey, why don't you pay attention to this? So Samuel needed Eli to help him understand and to interpret that call, to know that it was even happening. So the second challenge that I have is that as we are discerning our calls, don't do it alone. If you sense that the Lord is saying something to you, ask those you trust, pray about it together. Get wise voices that you trust coming into the conversation. And conversely too, if you can be an Eli to somebody else, do it. Mentor younger Christians, walk alongside your friends, be able to encourage and exhort and to spy their gifts and to call out those callings when they might not understand them themselves. So just like Eli helped Samuel to understand what was happening, so too can we help each other. We need each other. So in all of this, I just want to encourage you, friends, that you are called. We are all called, and our callings look different, but we are called to walk and to follow Jesus, to emulate his example, and just to trust that he is with us. So I also have to give a little plug for this month is the month of gifts at Ashland First United Methodist, where I'm kind of leading us through exploring our spiritual gifts. And our gifts play into our calling, and the ways that the Lord that has equipped us can often play into where he calls us. So if you're around Sunday afternoon from 1 to 2:30, we will be having a socially distanced spiritual gifts workshop where we will continue to think about calling together. So friends, with that, First United Methodist, I love you. I'm thinking of you. I'm praying for you. And I am excited to hear and explore all of our callings together. So with that, I hope you all have a great Thursday, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.